AMP Studios Live, brought to you by Old Mutual.
I was just so fixated by the idea of getting rich.
For me, it was do or die.
Hi, AMP fam. Welcome back to AMP Studios Live. This is the first episode of this show that we've shot during COVID-19 partial lockdowns, and we would like to let you guys know that we are all under the strict necessary precautions required to make sure that everybody's safe. Actually, it's quite crazy. Let me show you. I need everybody to smile, though. We are. Yep. Oh, my. As you guys can see, we are taking all the necessary precautions, and this week we are looking at the topic that everyone is aware of, but that nobody's really ready to talk about, at least openly, until now. COVID-19 lockdowns have essentially turned the switch off for a lot of people around the world to be able to create revenue. The music industry and artists of all kinds have been affected. In this week's episode, we talk to heavyweight artists and legends about how this has affected their career and what, if anything, we can learn from it. Let's go.
I'm a man who used to have money. I'm a man who was very independent. And all my money due to COVID is gone.
For a while, when it hit, I was like, what am I gonna do? What's gonna happen? It was such confusion. How am I gonna make money? How am I gonna pay the bills? It was so uncertain.
So first it affected me mentally because we had these crazy plans, I had a lot of trips planned, and this is supposed to be the year where I was supposed to be out there in the world recording some of my favorite artists and producers, different countries in Europe and the States. And I found myself at home.
In isolation, I'm just home, I'm not gigging, I'm not doing anything, So as people know, a big part of us as artists, where we make our money, most of our money is shows, So obviously there's no shows, you understand me? So the business is not doing well.
I started getting despondent, waking up in the mornings like there's no gigs. It's just been announced now that we can't perform anymore. Where do I perform? Because this is the only thing that I know, it's music, And this is how I put bread and butter on the table. What do I do?
I had to cancel over like 50 shows. But at the same time, when it came, I'm someone who doesn't like dwelling on something that I have no control over. So when this pandemic came and then it was announced that it's lockdown, I knew that we had to adjust to it.
I released my album on the 27th of March, which was the first day of lockdown. I did a lot of live streams, a lot of interviews on my laptop and on my phone. I had lights at my house. I had a stand. So yeah, it's been very difficult on the fact that I couldn't promote my album the traditional way.
We're living in really crazy times, and really, you can't fault anyone right now for the decisions they make because everyone is sort of in a panic, sort of in survival mode. What do I do now? How do I continue? How do I have a career after this?
And you drive past a queue of people at the post office and they're getting this 350 Rand grant from the government. And you say, where's the queue for musicians? There's no queue. And I don't think there ever will be.
The real crisis is not with the music industry, it's not with the game, it's just with South Africa as a whole, because it just becomes better, way bigger than that.
There's a lot of injustice going on. There are lots of people who are feeling this anger inside them because I'm angry, not at people, not at COVID. I'm just angry for the whole situation that's going on and how many people are suffering as a result of that.
It's bigger than me, it's bigger than everyone. There's other people who are less privileged, that don't even know what they're gonna eat. You understand what I'm trying to say? Me and my girl, we decided to do some things like cooking soup, going to the township, give people, the food, just to play a part with the little that I have, but let me share because it's tough, you understand?
I'm in the same boat, but I feel that I still have the strength to share knowledge with them, and how can I arm them to be in a position where they could put bread and butter on their table.
I feel like there's artists now that are going through the most because of this lockdown, but it was gonna happen anyway, whether it was lockdown or not, because of maybe they were not looking after their finances or you were not expanding yourself. So I think this has taught us to be able to always prepare for the worst. You know, because once you can't prepare for the best, or you must prepare for the worst, you understand?
So we don't want to reach the stage where we're going to say, oh, Corona did this, Rona did this. Yes, it did it to us. We can see what it's doing to us. What are you going to do about it?
I had one choice, either to really dwell on it and just, let it just depress me, or like find a way and adapt.
There's been good and there's been bad. I have a little setup at home where I could record my stuff, like a little studio room kind of thing. I love that time. I love the amount of time I get to sort of step into that room and kind of, just experiment. The introspection part and just the playing around with the music has really affected me positively and somewhat strangely, because I've sort of reached, or I'm doing things that I'm like, I don't think I'd do this in February.
I've turned that energy, into me just trying to do a lot of introspection, because I believe that the best conversations that you can ever have is with yourself.
I believe in finding beauty in chaos, So I really locked myself in the studio and create as much as I can. And I believe it's some of the best music I've ever made.
I started making music again. That's the silver lining. I started connecting with myself again. I went home. So I had everything that said Amanda around me. And that's sort of how I pulled myself out of that darkness. And I found solace in telling the stories of how I feel right now and what's going on emotionally, spiritually in my life, not knowing what's gonna happen.
And so I taught myself to unlearn my fears through my music. I'm fighting to get the old Pops Muhammad back, and he's slowly coming back with a bang.
It's like, I think the entire concept of the pandemic is to teach us about introspection generally.
You need to talk to yourself. That's why a lot of healing needs to take place.
I think the silver lining around it was all these things that I learned, while being in lockdown, how to shoot my own videos, how to do live streams at home. It was an interesting way of promoting an album from the comfort of your own home, instead of being in some hotel and going from city to city. So it definitely had its ups and downs.
I think the whole world is generally just has gone inside itself and its creations also, We've always had platforms. There was always Instagram, there was always YouTube, there was always these things, and they mattered. But I think now they kind of not only play an advertising role, but they play like a platform for the content, because those people that are buying are directly here. It's not now a byproduct of who I am outside the world. It's the thing, So you kind of treat it with a little bit more respect and a little bit more care. It's not coming at a place where you can just figure it out while you're doing what you normally do. You kind of just have to adapt or not exist, and you hope you break through. Because everybody's on social media now. I mean, what do you do really if you're not on there?
What I did is just shifted the focus of my business into brand partnerships and music for brands. So far that has worked out, keeping me busy, and I think you need to understand your strength as an artist, which for me has always been songwriting, and you need to be able to understand all aspects of it and how to be able to maximize on it.
Another lesson was that you can't do one thing. That was another lesson. It was a lesson of, I know you love the music, I know you all about the music, that's what I came here to do. As the businesswoman, as my CEO of my own record label, I sort of had to come back, artist, business mode. You need other revenue streams. So I wouldn't say it changed how I charge, but it definitely changed what I charge for. So it's not just performing now. It's, hey, what do you want me to do? You want me to say hi? Because that's the hustle right now. The hustle is whatever this face can get, whatever this voice can do right now, you go do it. Because it's real.
I think a lot of us are just waiting for something to happen so that we get back to what we know. And in my head, I've always been like, well, what if it doesn't? So kind of adapt fully and adapt, and completely sort of give yourself to the adapting.
Rakai has said to you that every musician is his own industry. You got to make your mojo work. If you believe in yourself, people will believe in you.
Ma'am Abigail Kubeka is one of South Africa's treasures and has performed alongside the greatest legends such as Miriam Makeba, Dorothy Masuka, Hugh Masekela, and more. She's also a well-known actress still working in the 80s. She was even on the global hit show Queen Sono with Paul Tusi. Tonight, she joins us during partial lockdown at AM Studios Live for an intimate conversation with one of South Africa's most soulful talents, Zoe Modiga. Let's check it out.
The world being what it is now, net global pandemic, how have you been finding this experience?
You see, sometimes it feels like I'm dreaming. But if you're a spiritual person, remember, you are not the master of your life. It's like we're wearing blinkers all the time thinking, this is the way to go. This is the way to go, and nothing else. And then somebody came and said, off those blinkers. It has been hard, especially for other people who were just thinking, oh, we're just singers or who were just actors. Because now that is no more, and then what? So this, wake up and smell the coffee.
Yes, indeed.
I think everybody now is smelling the coffee.
And what a coffee it is, man. It is a very interesting.
The strongest coffee. Where do we get the strongest coffee from? Somewhere in Brazil or somewhere.
When the world was the normal world, it was easy to just live, like you're saying, each day ganjena. But now there was an opportunity to really connect with spirit. There was an opportunity to connect with self. That you haven't unearthed. It's not the good without the bad, but it's definitely beautiful. It's definitely an awakening.
Yes.
And it's definitely a transformation.
Yeah.
After the break, we hear more from Abigail Kubeka and Zoe Modiga, as well as the few legends who sent us messages from the safety of their homes.
AM Studios Live, brought to you by Old Mutual. AM Studios Live, brought to you by Old Mutual.
Welcome back to AM Studios Live, the powerful collaboration between AM Studios, by Old Mutual, and MTV Base. This is episode 9 and the first episode we've ever filmed during the partial lockdown restrictions of COVID-19. Here we've hosted an intimate conversation with no live audience between two incredible artists, Abigail Kubeka and Zoe Modiga. Before we get there, some artists who wanted to talk about their experiences with the lockdown decided to send us their video notes from the safety of their homes. Let's have a look.
What I've learned from this is that life gives no guarantees.
We slept in one country and woke up in another country, so lockdown really affected each and every one of us, our families, our professional careers. When there's no work, there's absolutely no pay. When one is not entertaining, you can't even pay your bills.
We can only learn from this experience, and hopefully we are able to rethink how we navigate ourselves during this current period.
I think a lot of creatives are getting a lot of time if they're not thinking about their stomachs or survive, and if they're privileged enough not to really only be thinking about that, they are able to get to start like cleaning their art, getting more time and more focus on their art, improving their craft. I think this is the opportunity that COVID-19 is giving people.
It's a good time to, go back to stuff that's been holding up and, getting into it and just needed your time.
We found new ways of working, like doing shows, virtually. It's not easy because we are used to crowds and singing for the people in front of us, but a lot has been learned.
Yeah, it has impacted my work and my income, but in terms of my career, there's always nothing stopping you from learning and empowering yourself. So, nothing stops me from creating content.
Time now to dive deep, real deep, into an emotional and powerful and icon hero conversations between Abigail Kubeka and Zoe Modiga. Don't forget to stay tuned for an unforgettable performance.
I'm in a space right now as a young artist where I'm really looking at the beginning to figure out what purpose and what role I'm supposed to play empilweni yami. And ngiyabona ukuthi I have to go back to childhood. I have to go back to ugogo nomkhulu, izinto esakhuliswa sifundiswa and all of that kind of thing. How much of where you come from in your childhood has informed lento esikwazi as manje as umam Abigtail?
Mntanami uqala kahle ke mawuqala lapho ngoba kuthiwa indlela ebuzwa kwabaphambili. Kodwa before ungena kule ndlela ufuna ucele kwabakini because lezi zinto lezi asizenzeli. Indaba yokuqala, it is a God-given talent. Music, acting, art is very spiritual. It comes from within yourself. And then kube kuwe ke ukuthi uyidirector kanjani, uyisa kuphi. You have to be versatile in order to survive. Ungabheki nje into eyodwa. Ngoba kunzima mntanami. Kunzima. We were driven by passion nothando. Much against our parents. Mina abazali bami bengafuni inhlobo ukuthi ngingene kule industry. Ngangifuna babefuna ukuthi ngibe unesi, budokotela, hey nangu umntanethu wama epilepsy ufake ingwebe emhlophe.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Kanti mina lento la ngaphakathi kimi ngiba unesi, ngifuna ukuba unesi ngenye indlela. Bona they didn't understand ukuthi ukucula nabo ubunesi because music heals. I healed people. I educated people. Ngomculo.
I think nanamhlanje siyabona with the Black Lives Matter movement happening there and the femicides and the gender-based violence enzakala la ukuthi siyabona nabantu abamnyama bangaphesheya bangalena bafuna ushintsho and nathi ngalana sifuna ushintsho. I know ukuthi the world has become something that is probably very weird to understand from your perspective. But ngicabanga ukuthi there's so many young people like myself who see the value of the role that you played and the doors that you were able to open and the way that you were able to lead us into where we are now. Because there would not be uZoyi Modiga if there wasn't Umam Abigtail Kubeka. Ngangumuntu othanda umculo. Ngakhule eMaritzburg, next door bebedlala umculo nje. Front opposite bebedlala umculo nje. That was the first experience of umculo. And I realized, wow, music is so impactful. And sasikhula silalela nina and your generation and your peers and the beautiful stories that you had. But I always had a grievance because ngabona ukuthi a lot of our textbooks, why Abomam Abigtail? Why are they not in those textbooks, you know?
Yeah.
Or mhlampe if they were there, kwaku chapter encane. So as a person who has invested in music education, to be able to sit in front of you and to receive all that you have to share firsthand is so powerful because that's all I ever wanted. All I ever wanted was to see umuntu ofana nami and to recognize that there's so much beauty in that.
Oh, there is. Honey, you know, we ran this marathon. It is really so sad because manje, when we are supposed to be celebrating and you guys just being glorified, it's as a corner. When are people going to wake up?
Yeah.
And see us as important, valuable people.
Yes.
Assets in this country, in the economy of this country.
Yes.
When? You know, when it happened during the time Yamapunu, okay, anyway, Amapunu, kubuhlungu kodwa they are not Amapunu, so there's nothing we can do.
Yeah,
but umayenzeka manje futhi kwabantu bakithi, then you say, okay, am I in the wrong world? Kodwa there is light in the tunnel. Manje sekukini bantwana bethu to take this up. Sinikile amabhaythi wena ngithi. Wathatheni. Namatorch. Nikhanyise and go forward.
For more on these interviews or to check out the full masterclasses, just go to ampstudios.co.za. We're here in Newtown, so if you want to utilize the studio space or use our facilities, just get a hold of us. If you want to join the AMP Studios community for updates, content drops, and exclusive invitations, join our WhatsApp line by WhatsApping your name to 081-707-6636. Now, before you head off, every AMP Studios Live ends in a special performance, but this performance is possibly the highlight of the entire series. So with that, I leave you with Abigail and Zoe. I'm Blaqslim, this is AMP Studios Live, and you're awesome.
Continua setrum veni
Yebo ma ndisakucinga ngawe mama.
Good to know that. Lagutona. Shut up a day.
Oh la do do pi, la do do papu pi.
Dandy Clausen used to do that. Thank you, Zoe Dabaswi.
Oh, Mom, Abigtail, Kubeka, Siakuthanda. Siabonga.
Zabada, ewe, no hamba. Tikufuna
ezindlini nasedadweni. Esibhedlela
lasetrongweni. Zoe, thank you. Yo.
Lagu Pumi.
Yes.
AMP Studios Live, brought to you by Old Mutual.